the frequency of the heart. It generates the frequency of the heart, and it is multi-layered of stone and sand, so that it creates the life force energy. When we put up our pyramid in 1975, we incorporated an orgone covering on ours, which immediately connected to Cheops, which broadcasted the life force energy of these pyramids all over the world. And that is why we shut down the Bermuda Triangle and the Great Lakes Triangle and can use Stonehenge, which is the main control panel for the whole grid system on the planet. And at Y2K, they tried to cap this pyramid. They tried to move Stonehenge over to the Millennium Dome to create Y2K. They planned on shocking the Earth motor, stopping it enough so that they could have complete control. And we have been working for many years to stop that. Now, how do we spin this, Steve? Do I hit it again? Okay. This is a diagram of the pyramid, and as I says, it is a spinning pinwheel. My friend Steve, who is helping me, spins all these crop circles. And if you want to get on my YouTube video and look at them, we have lots of spinning crop circles. You can move those crop circles over Stonehenge and spin them yourself or spin them after the patterns that Steve has put up. Again, when we say the spinning crop circle, remember it is pulling like the medicine wheel up from like the medicine wheel at Bighorn. It is pulling the energy up from Yellowstone, taking it from up to the ionosphere. This one is connected to the Earth motor, and this is pulling the energy up from the Earth motor all the way into the ionosphere. What stronger frequency can you have? You're sitting on top of Stonehenge. What stronger frequency can you have? What you put into this crop circle, like I said, from the point of light, you put the consciousness of man. From the point of love, you put the consciousness of the heart. From the center where the will of God is known, you put the will of God into the will of what you intend. And 95% of what we do is intent. So doing the Holy Grail Vortex, and if you want to learn the Holy Grail Vortex, get on Mary Hardy YouTube. We have diagrams of it. I've got the Holy Grail Vortex from 12 Templars that wanted me to help them stop Y2K. They put radio stations in all the cathedrals 4 years before so they could transfer the energy from the Great Pyramid up to the Millennium Dome. And I was given the Holy Grail Vortex to go into these cathedrals and change the frequency so they couldn't be used as a radio station to transfer the energy. And that is why I have it. And repeating it from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. You send the energy from the ionosphere down to the Earth motor. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men. From the center which is called the race of man, let the plan of love and light work out. And that's when you send it throughout the Holy Grid. Last year, I never do a PowerPoint without looking at the crop circles first. Last year, this was the first crop circle that appeared in the late part of May, just before I did my presentation at the ASD. As you see there, it is a pendulum heart that can swing back and forth to the wings of Isis, which are the consciousness of man. The second crop circle last year, on May 28th, 2020, was the coronavirus. Again, you could put this virus on top of Stonehenge. You see the circle in the end is a white blood cell eating up this virus. So you could place this on the crop circle through the Holy Grail vortex and ask that this be neutralized. This is the third one. This crop circle appeared when George Floyd found an early death and there was rioting all in the United States. Again, if we wanted to change the frequency of these riots, we could ask permission. You have to ask permission. We could ask permission and send this through the grid and to help. And we would be using the Holy Grail Vortex. Now I'm going to play a video. Steve, you want to help me?
Yep.
I am very grateful to Mr. Steve. He does my video work for me, and he does a good job.
Here we are again.
The name of this video is Crop Circles, Pyramids, Medicine Wheels, and the Holy Grail Vortex. Activate the Earth's living motor. The Earth is a motor. The Earth is a living being and has its orgone aura the same as a human. Crop circles, pyramids, medicine wheels, and the Holy Grail Vortex activate the Earth's living motor. The Earth's living motor is activated by a standing power wave. All pyramids, medicine wheels create a vortex into the Earth's motor. The Earth's motor has an auric field just like a human that we call the atmosphere. The Earth has a nervous system that we call the grid of ley lines. For years, humankind has used the Earth's energy field to develop its consciousness so that mankind can live in harmony. Free will on the planet is a gift, and Mother Earth supports the frequency of free will to help us advance. The 5G network of towers and satellites has disrupted the grid so that the creatures of the Earth have become confused and disoriented. Birds, bees, butterflies, and the creatures of the seas and other migratory animals can no longer navigate the grid. The Holy Grail Vortex and spinning crop circle can help teach these animals to migrate. The Holy Grail Vortex creates a spinning crop circle, and it's necessary for us to look at how this is achieved. This is a short film on how crop circles heal the planet. Crop circles are a mystery to most of this planet, but they are vortex generators. Most of the crop circles in the world appear around Stonehenge. It is a chalk field with which these crop circles can be drawn on. So people ask, who makes them? They are balls of plasma. The Earth is negative, and the balls of plasma are positive. Well, the balls of light, the plasma balls of light, over a negative chalk field makes the crop circles. Crop circles are vortexes. They are patterned vortexes already given a frequency. Now we use the fairies and divas. They make crop circles. They can make crop circles on the plains of Solberry very easily. The main generator for these crop circles is Stonehenge. That is why most of them appear around Stonehenge. One of the oldest roads in England is by the Commandery on the plains of Solberry. That is because the Templars used the crop circles to generate a field to activate the churches, set the frequency of the grains in the land. Now, homeopathy is like cures like. So with this, we could create a similar frequency. The way to spin that into the frequency of an area is to do the Holy Grail Vortex. In 1996, a group of Templars came to me and gave me the Holy Grail Vortex that allows us as dowsers to heal the grid lines of the earth, take down tornadoes, and balance out hurricanes. With understanding this technology, we can heal the grid lines so animals can navigate. The Templars built cathedrals, obelisks, and other vortex generators. These were resonating chambers. The object was to keep the electromagnetic network in balance. We as dowsers must learn the techniques if we wish to help the creatures of the earth to return to a navigational frequency for them to flourish. In 1996, while in France, these 12 Templars came to me and taught me the secret of the Holy Grail Vortex. The Holy Grail Vortex is a prayer. This vortex generates two fields of counterclockwise vortexes and two clockwise vortexes. As you see in this energy pattern, the highest heaven, you can see the four circling vortexes, two counterclockwise and two clockwise. The Holy Grail Vortex creates a vortex generating system that allows us to control the orgone system of pyramids all over the world. This prayer sets up a standing wave from the ionosphere to the center of the earth. With this prayer, we can activate pyramids, medicine wheels, move crop circles to any place on the earth to activate any acupressure point within the grid to shut down hurricanes, reduce the effects of earthquakes, and stop tornadoes. Many of the ancient people knew how to do this through their dance, which sets up a tachyon field. They used pyramids, medicine wheels to create upshoots and downshoots to move this energy. Here is an example of performing the Holy Grail Vortex. Always ask permission if you wish to perform the Holy Grail Vortex. Engage the frontal lobe. Form a clear intent in the mind. And the heart is the only God that right under the portal to the mind of the light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, that love brings forth to the heart of men, that Christ returns to it. From the center where the whole God is known, a perfect God, the little rules of men, the perfect that the man is known and served. From the center which is called the grace of man, that the plan of love and life work out, and then the seal of the door will reveal itself, that life and love and power restore the plan on earth. Then love through the grid and see it balanced. Give thanks for your opportunity to heal humanity and the planet. Move on to a higher frequency. In 1998, a pyramid group called the Temple of New Saqqara formed a group called the Sisterhood of the Emerald Fire. The purpose of this group was to learn the Holy Grail Vortex and use it to protect humanity and the Earth's grid. Using the Holy Grail Vortex, the sisters were trained to spin their chakra system into the heart and emanate green fire into a standing wave. This columnar wave goes from the center of the earth to the ionosphere. The Sisterhood of the Emerald Fire took their name from the Marys, who wore a diamond over their heart. They spun one part of the heart one way and one part of the heart the other way, creating a double vortex, so they could create emerald green fire out of the heart. The heart chakra is emerald green, thus the name the Sisterhood of the Emerald Fire. The sisters were trained to use pyramids, labyrinths, medicine wheels, and the cathedral, which all generate a vortex energy. Using the Holy Grail Vortex, they could activate a standing wave going from the earth to the ionosphere. If we are to help the creatures of the earth, the bugs, the bees, the birds, the whales, we must understand the wisdom of the Holy Grail Vortex and the standing wave. Often when we perform the Holy Grail Vortex at this cathedral, A large flock of geese will swim in a circle in the water behind the cathedral. This is a diagram of the Earth's crystalline grid. The present crystalline energy system of the planet is a combination between an icosahedron, a polyhedron with 20 faces, and a dodecahedron, a polyhedron with 12 flat faces. It allows the planet's creatures to travel along the grid line. The Holy Grail vortex creates an energy pattern of vortex energy, which allows them to activate the sonar so they can find their way from one point to another. The U.S. Navy has said that in the last 2 years, an increase in whales and dolphins teaching themselves is due to increased sonar and military exercises. Electromagnetic energy such as 5G and sonar disturbs the navigational instinct of migratory animals. We astrologers have the ability to help the creatures of Earth find their navigational frequencies. We must reestablish the use of spinning vortexes and understand how to create a standing solar wave. Studying this situation, I find that the creatures of the world, insects, whales, butterflies, birds, have an instinct to circle to create a standing wave, thus creating a vortex field of energy to swim from one place to another. The first thing we have to do is investigate that the Earth is a living motor. By doing the Holy Grail vortex, we create a system that allows the animals to move from one standing wave to another. All we have to do is activate the standing wave. Thousands of pyramids and crop circles have been placed all over the world. These pyramids generate a vortex frequency that can be used to re-engineer the grid and assist the creatures of the Earth in re-establishing their navigational grid. I would like to present to you at this time a film that we made at the Temple of Nusasara to explain pyramid energy and the importance it has in keeping the grid in balance.
Recently, scientists have found startling new evidence about the Great Pyramid of Giza, and they've published a white paper titled Electromagnetic Properties of the Great Pyramid, First Multipole Resonances. The conclusion reported in the July 2018 issue of the Journal of Applied Physics reports the multipole analysis of the electromagnetic wave scattering by the Great Pyramid has been performed in the radio frequency range and revealed important physical properties concerning the accumulation and focusing of electromagnetic energy. This energy concentration indicates that the Great Pyramid functions as an antenna for the Earth's energy to facilitate its life-sustaining motor. All motors need to be stabilized, and the Great Pyramid generates an energy field to entrain the Earth's motor to continue to run smoothly. As far back as Plato's stories about Atlantis, the Earth has many power stations. Modern evidence confirms that Africa, India, South America, Antarctica, and Australia were once a single continent called Pangaea. At that time, the North Pole was located in the modern Bermuda Triangle region, and the South Pole was near Australia in the Devil's Sea. The main controlling power station was located at the North Pole. The standing wave over the North Pole became unbalanced, collapsed, and crossed the Earth, creating the Atlantic Ocean. Since the Earth is a motor that must operate in a balanced field, this imbalance meant that the Earth would wobble on its axis, and the energy it was producing would cease to exist. This would cause the beautiful blue-green orgone energy field produced by the Earth's motor to collapse, and the planet would die. An ancient order of interstellar priests came to the rescue of the Earth. First, they built a school called Saqqara to instruct the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptian students were trained on the nature of orgone energy, the science of levitation, how to construct pyramids, the Ark of the Covenant, and the rods of Ptah. By locating the central point of the Pangaea continental landmass, which was Egypt, they built an antenna system using the Great Pyramid. This system was designed to balance the Earth. They also built Stonehenge to act as a control panel for this antenna system. Stonehenge, a vortex generator, monitors and maintains the tip and tilt of the Earth. With this knowledge, the Earth's magnetic field was brought into harmonious balance. When Mary Hardy first entered the Great Pyramid in 1981, she relived a past life in that past time and realized the process of how the Great Pyramid stabilizes the Earth. She saw the ancients use a coil, much like a Tesla coil, which they ran up and down the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid. This technique corrected the Earth's imbalance, returning it to a stable orbit. The pyramid itself is built like an orgone generator. It has dual layers of electric dielectric material acting as an antenna to maintain the Earth's temperature and orbital balance. Mary's teacher, Kenneth Killick, told her that the Great Pyramid's electric dielectric nature is realized by layering first a wall of stone, then a crystalline chamber of sand, then a wall of stone, and then another chamber of crystalline sand. Unfortunately, the archaeologists that are trying to understand the pyramid have drilled holes into its walls and have removed the sand. Because of a lack of understanding, these scientists do not realize that they are destroying a very beautiful piece of technology that balances the Earth. When Mary went to Egypt in 1981, the pyramid's interior was cool, remaining at a constant 72 degrees. Kenneth Killick explained that this was part of the design, maintaining both the pyramid and the Earth's cool temperature. When she returned to the Great Pyramid in 1992, the interior temperature of the pyramid was warmer than the desert air outside. Mary called Kenneth and related to him the temperature reversal, and he again told her about the orgone energy field and said, "The damn fools are taking the insulation out, and they're making the Earth's antenna a useless piece of equipment." The recent scientific white paper has confirmed that the Great Pyramid is an antenna that acts as a lens and pulls the energy up from the Earth's interior. Unfortunately, some scientists still maintain that the Egyptians were not advanced enough to engineer this electromagnetic field into the pyramid. They say it's just a coincidence. Some archaeologists and physicists can't comprehend the information they have in front of them. They are still calling the pyramids tombs. If they would study and understand the pyramid antenna system and reattach it to the Earth's orgone field, they could engineer the tools that were used to build the pyramids. This information is portrayed in many of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. The controlling energy mechanism for these ancient devices was the Ark of the Covenant. We all know the story of Moses parting the Red Sea. But engineers accept that the Ark of the Covenant was a capacitor, and when Moses extended the rod of Ptah on the banks of the Red Sea, he created a soliton that allowed him to part the waters. Mary is convinced that the Egyptians were trained on how to use scalar and soliton energy, and the Great Pyramid generated these fields. Moses, the pharaohs, and the students at Saqqara all knew how to use the rods of Ptah. If we had this information today, it would revolutionize technology. It's a shame that archaeologists, physicists, and mechanical engineers cannot see the simple truth of how the pyramids interact with the Earth. Fortunately, Mary Hardy's orgone pyramid preserves the antenna grid to hold the frequency of the heart to protect the Earth. We need to understand that the Earth is a motor. Pyramids and obelisks are antennas, and the two rods of Ptah can direct and manipulate electromagnetic fields to generate standing waves or solitons to move this energy. This understanding would greatly benefit all living things, humanity, and Mother Earth.
Many creatures of the sea and air are finding their own solutions to the problems of the grid. Mysterious circling behaviors observed in large marine animals was the title of a research article from ECOWAS. Several large marine animals, from sharks to seals to turtles to fish, have been observed doing something scientists find strange, swimming in circles, the article stated. They are simply following the frequency of the Holy Grail vortex, which is set up by the pyramid. By understanding the Holy Grail vortex, this behavior is easily explained. Moving in circles creates a standing wave the same as the Holy Grail vortex. These sea creatures are simply retuning the grid so that they have a navigational frequency. This unusual circling behavior occurs over food sources and navigational points on the grid. All creatures from butterflies to sea creatures, bees to birds, travel the navigational frequencies of the crystalline grid. Unfortunately, the use of 5G towers and satellites have interfered with the navigational grid of these creatures. The geese no longer fly in bee formation. Many robins never left Michigan. Beekeepers are losing their bees. A few more years of this behavior and our ecosystem will be severely hampered. On December 22nd, 2020, a meteor fell in Lake Allinger. Suddenly, we had birds from many different countries. For example, there were few ducks here in Eurasia and Canadian snow geese from the Canadian Arctic. Many birds from these areas have never appeared in this region. This shows you that the creatures have lost their sonar grid life and have no true path to travel from one place to another. The meteor fell right in the center of our eastern pyramid. This created a grid line that led the wayward birds to this area. This pyramid is created by my pyramid Earth, God's pyramid fire, the Allegan Dam water, and the Allegan Airport air. On July 10, 1899, a 50-pound meteor, aptly named the Allegan meteorite, fell a mile or two away from where this new meteor fell in December. The elders of the planet told me that the meteors were now being sent to create a new grid pattern for the water and air creatures to navigate off of. Doing the Holy Grail vortex over the meteors and connecting with the creature's brain will help them navigate. Many of these creatures are beginning to use this system by circling over the meteors, feeding areas, and grid points. The Sisterhood is being asked to create the Holy Grail vortex and work with the fairies, the divas, and earth creatures. The Glassford meteor near Peoria, Illinois, is about a half a mile from where these pictures were taken. There are many meteors falling on the Earth yearly. These pictures that were taken by a sister of the Emerald Fire made me realize the importance of doing the Holy Grail vortex over meteor sites where you live. The diamond in the sky represents the diamond that is over the heart of the Marys. The Sisterhood follows the teachings of the Marys. Many pictures of Mary Magdalene show the diamond over her heart. Spinning the top part of the diamond over the heart in one direction and the bottom part of the heart in the opposite direction creates a standing column or wave. This standing wave is very similar to the creatures flying and swimming in circles. This circling creates a standing wave and can help set up the grid so these creatures can navigate the earth. Incorporating the fairies and the divas, the ETs, the elders of the planet, the angels, etc., we can communicate with the inner consciousness of the creatures on the planet. This includes the birds and the bees, the butterflies, and the insects, the creatures of our waters and air. There is an innate consciousness embedded in the earth motor. I feel the elders of the planet have given the Sisterhood a sign by taking the ancient meteor crater at Glassford, showing us the symbol of the Sisterhood heart, which is a diamond over the crater and creating a vortex in the sky. We as Dowsers need to incorporate this wisdom on our own property so that we can help the birds and the bees, the creatures of the water, set up a frequency so that they can again navigate from one point to another. Creating the Holy Grail vortex every morning and activating it with the local birds will help them fly the navigational fields of the earth. The same is true if you live by the water, to work with the water creatures I used to go down to the gazebo in Allegan, and every time I did the Holy Grail vortex under the gazebo, the ducks, the geese, the birds in the area would fly in a vortex, using that vortex to run the sonar along the grid so they again reestablish a nesting and feeding area. You can also do this in your own area. Hi there, Karen. How are you? Can you hear me?
I am blown away, People talk about feeding, I used to be a beekeeper and mites and stuff. Everybody talks about the mites. No one wants to listen to the frequency, You can't keep bees anymore. This is terrible. But no one wants to listen to the 5G thing. What are you going to do? So I guess, does anybody have any questions for Mary, or anybody want to make a comment or open it up to some discussion? It was very interesting. So, yes, you can unmute yourself, Linda. Go ahead.
Is that for me?
Yeah, you have your
Lisa
hand raised.
LaRue.
You have your hand raised.
Yes, I have a question, and I apologize if it appears simplistic, but what do you mean when you say take a crop circle and place it on Stonehenge or another place? Are you using an image? What exactly are you doing? How is this done?
I'm using the frequency. I visualize the crop circle. That's why they appear within a 90-mile radius around Stonehenge. You just take that image and put that frequency and take that frequency and put it over Stonehenge, and then do the Holy Grail vortex. Does that make it clearer?
It makes it a
Probably
bit clearer,
not.
but how is it that you discover the frequency of the crop circle?
How is it I discovered that? I
No,
have
that-
lots of help.
How does one know the frequency of the crop circle?
You don't have to know. You don't have to know. It is put there as an image. That image is the frequency.
Okay.
I started working with the Templars. They came to me in 1996 and asked me to help them. Now, all the crop circles that appear around Stonehenge, if they're true crop circles, are probably engineered. The Templars have control of that, so they have to get permission. That's why they're so geographically correct, because the Templars make it that way. So pull the frequency. But when there's a crop circle that appears, take the crop circle of the coronavirus. That is a frequency that you can use. The law of homeopathy, if you understand, is like cures like. So that frequency can be placed over Stonehenge and spun with the Holy Grail vortex in a matter as we have taught all the sisters to do. And you could get on my my Mary Hardy YouTube and look at some of these pictures of spinning spinning the Holy Grail vortex. If you place that over Stonehenge, now it is being broadcasted from the Earth motor, which is very strong, stronger than anything they can put up in satellites and in towers, and take that frequency and send it out to the 5Gs. But this is a planet of free will, and people have to do that. It isn't going to happen naturally. People have, the Templars have given me a method of doing that. But, and as I say, there is a law. If you look at people that are talking about ETs, there are many different nations around, different types of ETs around the world. Some are benevolent and some aren't. But there is a treaty signed among them that if you use prayer, they cannot interfere with what you're doing. And that came to me in a way. We moved a crop circle someplace, and my friends had a house next door to that. They broke in for one solid year. During the winter, she'd come home from work, and they wouldn't let her in the house because there was a water leak, or they wouldn't let her in the house because the furnace was leaking. But what they were doing is they were checking for a piece of equipment that had the power that will move that crop circle into her backyard over a park. That's what they were looking for. And finally, we figured that out. The police, when we first moved the crop circle, 3 days before 2013, we came to ASD and performed the moving of the crop circle over Stonehenge, and then we put the pyramid over Stonehenge, and it changed the frequency so that they couldn't interfere as much with moving the energy through Stonehenge. Stonehenge is the main control panel for the whole grid. And so we were given that by the Templars to do that in 2013, and we were given 10 years to teach people. How are you going to teach people? Do you think this diagram that I showed to you helps you understand better and teaches you a little more about it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you have a clear understanding how to do that? Are you able to sit in your own house in the morning and get up and greet the sun and ask for this protection for the birds and the bees simply by doing the Holy Grail Vortex?
I would do that.
Well, that's all they're asking you to do. And when they get 144,000 people being able to do this, then we can use the grid in a more secure way. We don't have to suffer all of this crap that they're throwing on. We can take care of it. And that is what the Templars have taught me. And I've spent years, in 1975, we built our pyramid. We built it with an orgone on it. Suddenly we had Navy intelligence in our yard, asking us if we knew that we had changed the frequency. They were at Sawyer Air Force Base in the Upper Peninsula, and they had built a radio station to keep the submarines submerged during the Cold War with their nuclear bombs in their things so they didn't have to come up. And that was electrocuting the ocean. And when I asked Kenneth why they appeared, he simply said, because you stopped the electrocution of the ocean, and they wanted to know how we did it. Because you can imagine the thousands of pyramids all over the world suddenly generating life force energy. And how do you activate them? You know? Through the Holy Grail Vortex. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. But we got to get 144,000 people doing this. And how are we going to do it?
Well, you got one more.
Not me.
That's good.
Thank you.
Go ahead, unmute yourself. Go ahead, Pam.
Yes, I'm just curious. Hi, thank you so much, Mary, for all this sharing. I'm very curious. I have some copper. I've started gathering to build a pyramid, and are the sort of proportions and lengths and all that, is that in the Pyramid Energy book or other places that we can be inspired?
Well, the best thing if you want to build a pyramid is come and look at our pyramids. We have 2 of them.
Okay. Yep, good.
We live in Allegan, Michigan, and you're welcome
Okay.
to come and visit anytime you want to. You
Thank
want to make the pyramid, the different angles of the pyramid. Now, the Great Pyramid is almost 52 degrees. That resonates with the heart chakra. And that's the frequency that you want to generate, is the heart chakra frequency. And if you make it an orgone covering, you build the life force energy, and you need to do the activation of it by doing the Holy Grail Vortex, which pulls the frequency up from the Earth's motor. And that's how we can accomplish this.
And I just put Mary's email address in the comments. So if anybody wants to email her, or if you need to email her to
Do you have a video on how to do
organized.
this, Mary? Do you have a video, a YouTube on how to do it? Suppose Pam lives 5,000 miles away and can't make it. So how do you have a YouTube on how to do it?
I have I have blueprints.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, we built the pyramid before we were into any of this technology. We built it in '75.
Right.
Good.
So
And
I
is it
have
important to
blueprints.
build it on an earth energy line? There are many in the yard here.
Well, I'll tell you, Dean hand dug the hole. See, to do it, you have to go from under the pyramid and up because you put a layer on the pyramid, you never put it back if you open the door. So you have to go down under the pyramid and up. And he shoveled and shoveled and dug, and every time he dug for where the tunnel was going to go, plane would come over and the sand would fall in. And finally, he realized that he needed to douse out where it needed to be because it kept on moving on him because he didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to douse out, and the energy in a hollow pyramid is counterclockwise. My son, when he was a little boy, would take a styrofoam airplane and throw it in the pyramid, and it would circle and circle and circle because it would pick up the energy. And you want a counterclockwise upshoot. So what are you doing? You're finding a counterclockwise upshoot. We didn't know any of this when we were putting it up. We just learned by trial and error. Okay.
We have one more question from Cindy, and maybe we can go into the lounge. Cindy, want to add a quick question here? Maybe Cindy, unmute yourself.
Hi, yes, I typed a few questions into the chat bar. Can any of you see that?
No, I can't. You know what? Somebody didn't erase the last. Oh, here. Sorry, it's my fault. Okay. Well, what's your question?
Well, one was about the shape of the pyramids and how to build them. And also, I've been joining the prayer calls in from Montana from Stacy, but the sound has really been a problem. And
Yes, it has.
and I'm wondering if there are, we can never hear you on the calls and the sound for Stacy, but it sounds like that, you know.
Are you a sister of the Emerald Fire?
No, I'm not, but I've been joining her calls anyway. And I pray
Well,
everybody.
well, we are having a seminar on the 23rd of July, 24th, 25th, and we'll discuss a lot of this. We have Brian Busco coming and a lot of nice speakers discussing this. So if you are interested, we're not going to be able to Zoom it because Steve is only one person, but he'll video it and on Mary Hardy YouTube. Maybe a month later, you can look at all the YouTube videos. Okay.
Okay. And I was also wondering, does it matter where I put the Holy Grail Vortex? Do I need to put it both over Stonehenge and Allegan, or just Stonehenge, or wherever it needs to go?
Okay.
New grid.
When you do the Holy Grail Vortex, you first find the intent that you want to deal with.
Oh yeah, that's
Intent
clear.
is 95%. Then you have to ask permission.
Yeah, that's
and the
clear
famous
too.
words are no harm to anyone.
Yeah, I got that.
So you have to have that.
Yeah, I
Then
got that.
what you do is you find the acupressure point that you want to enhance. If you want to, and say you have a friend in a hospital, so you can visualize the coronavirus over the hospital by moving it from Stonehenge. Then you just go from a very thin point of light, which says, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. May light descend on earth. It's just a very small one. Then you go about 3 feet out from the point of love within the heart of God. Let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. Those are 2 counterclockwise vortexes setting the frequency. Then when you go out, you put it around the whole hospital, from the center, which is called the race man, from the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men. That is an upshoot. That's a clockwise vortex. Then from the center, which is called the race of man, you're sending it out through the whole grid,
Yeah,
clockwise.
I have learned all of that from you and from Stacy. What if I wanted to transmute all of the whole cell towers in all of the United States? If I put it into the whole grid of United States, should I put the Holy Grail vortex site centered over your Allegan pyramid, or what do you think?
No, if you wanted to do that, you again go to where the center of the grid is. Where is that?
Well, it's
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, right? But what about, how does your
You run everything.
how does your pyramid in Allegan relate to the grid? Is it like a second point, or that's what I'm not quite getting?
No pyramids. How many pyramids do you think there are on the planet?
Lots.
You think there's over 2,000? Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're all on the acupressure. They're all on the acupressure points of the planet.
Okay.
So they're all gridded up on the grid. And where is the center of the grid, which is the broadcast point? Stonehenge.
Okay.
So when you go over Stonehenge, you go over the whole grid. Okay?
All right.
And you hit all the pyramids in the world. And all of them, you've asked them to be turned into orgone generators. And if they're orgone generators, I would say, and I've said this, and no, it's very hard for people to understand, but when they turned on the 7G or 5G, they went into, in New York, they brought in ships because they thought they were going to have a lot of deaths. They went into Central Park and put up morgues. And what happened? They didn't kill 1 million people in New York with their 5G network. They didn't kill any more people last year than they did the year before, because we have the frequency, the life force frequency generated through all the pyramids in the world. And their control point is Stonehenge. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Did that help you? Did that help you,
Thank you.
Cindy?
Yes, thank you.
I think we kind of have to
Well,
end.
it's 6. Okay, there's a one question here. According to David Wilcox, the reincarnation of Edgar Cayce, you built your pyramid using 70-degree angle and not of metal for whatever it is worth. I'm sorry, but to create an orgone frequency, which is generated through the pyramid, you have to create electrical, dielectric. You take an orgone blanket, it is made of steel wool and cotton, steel wool and cotton. So what we're doing is we are generating a frequency of the life force frequency through the pyramid by putting an orgone covering on it. And it must have had some effect because it shut down the Bermuda Triangle and the Great Lakes Triangle, according to the dowsers that came out to be from the Navy. And there's no proof of that other than a car pulled up at the end of our driveway with Navy written on the side. They walked down, they were books, but they interviewed my son, who was then 10 years old. They wanted to know if we knew what we had done with the pyramid. And of course, they weren't going to tell us, but when I asked Kenneth, he said, you've taken the static electricity out of the oceans and the water that is put there by the radio frequency going around the world to communicate with submarines, and you have neutralized ELF, which is extremely low frequency energy, so it prevented the oceans from dying. But there is no proof. But when I said that to J.J. Hurtak, he looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, Mary," and he hugged me and he said, "That's true." So there's no proof. You can take it for what it's worth. Okay? And that's why I want you to build an orgone pyramid, which is a layer of electric, dielectric, electric, dielectric. And a lot of people called up, well, why haven't you used gold? Do you know the cost of gold to put on a pyramid? We used aluminum and paper, aluminum and paper. And it created the orgone effect. And if you want to study orgone energy, how many of you have ever heard of Wilhelm Reich? 18 tons of his equipment was burned in the late 90s because he was curing cancer and reestablishing the life force energy. His books, he was put in jail and murdered, all because he was using orgone energy. Does that make any sense? So it is the orgone effect, and yes, we're using the shape of the Great Pyramid because it generates the frequency of the heart. And I don't care what these other people have said. This is what I was taught. And anytime that I went to United States Psychotronics Association, what happened is in 1985, Kenneth came to me and said, we have to present this paper because if we built this pyramid and it's interfering with a lot of things, they're going to want to take it down. And there's no way to patent the covering that we put on it. So we had to record it in a U.S. patent office and present a paper saying what we had done. So that's what we did. And when I went and spoke at the USPA, people like Marcel Vogel wanted to know what Ken was up to, so they had me give my talk about the pyramid and to the whole group. Well, he wanted to hear it personally, and of course the whole group appeared because they wanted to know what Marcel Vogel was interested in. So that was in 1986, or 1984. So yes, Karen, I have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. You got a few more questions in there, Mary. You want to take a look at the chat?
Okay. If we make our own pyramid, what's that?
Would it upset the balance? Yeah.
No, because does size matter? Could it be a foot high? As long as you use the angles of the heart, Doug Benjamin found an angle in the pyramid and he measured it, and Pythagoras had put in there the different angles represent the different frequencies. 51 minutes, 51 seconds, 51 degrees, 51 minutes, 51 seconds is the frequency of the heart. That's what you want to stick with. That's the angle. There are other pyramids all over the planet. It doesn't upset them because we are using prayer around the pyramid. Okay? Is there a how-to for making an orgone pyramid? Well, you put a layer of a dielectric, electric, dielectric. It can be any material you want. You have to study orgone energy and make it an orgone pyramid. Does that answer your question?
So what would she do with it? Which goes on first, aluminum or paper?
What? I don't hear well.
What does come first, the aluminum or the paper?
Doesn't matter. It's layered. First of all, we put a wood layer on there, and then we put a felt layer on there. Then we put paper, aluminum, paper, aluminum, paper, aluminum. But you got to have it smooth. It's got to be very smooth and it can't have a break in the covering. Okay? With John's pyramid, we tried it with paint, aluminum paint. That didn't work too well. We had to go back with covering it with the regular other stuff. That was my son's pyramid.
Do you have more
Does
bees?
that answer the question? What did you say?
Oh, I just wonder if you have more bees and butterflies in your, because you have all that, you have your pyramid there and crop circles and stuff. Do you have more wildlife? You live on a lake. What's going on in your property?
Steve, you want to answer that?
Yeah, she definitely has a plethora of insects, bees, flowers, deer come around the pyramid. The birds here are just incredible. It's a magical place.
And we have a beekeeper, and he's trying to get the bees, and he's just about kept his beehives. He gets new ones every year because they have a instinct to die or something.
Yeah, instinct to die. That's interesting. So let's see, another question. What do you do with the pyramid? Put things under it, address intentions to it? Does it help nature simply by being there? So
Well,
how
they
do you,
pretty much answered they pretty much answered this question. It creates a crystal, and during the early 50s, you did a pyramid and it would sharpen razor blades because it puts that frequency in there, and it's the life force secret. It's the life force frequency that is generated by the pyramid if it's the right angle. So does that answer the question?
what do you have care for your pyramid? How do you care for it? The weather and the snow, and you live in Michigan, you live in a pretty rough climate sometimes. Does it, how do you
We
care for
put
it?
many coverings on it. And first, we started out with fiberglass. That didn't work. Now we put a layer and my son John takes care of that.
He just arrived and he just went into the pyramid to empty the dehumidifier, and he checks on it almost every day.
And we put a builder told me that we could get a cement covering. You could make a thin coat of cement over it, plaster and cement, and that keeps the pyramid. We used to have to we put fiberglass on it first, and every 5 or 6 years we had to re-fiberglass it. We put this up in 75. But then we put, I don't know, you'd have to ask a builder, or I could probably get you the name, but we put a covering of cement and whatever it is, and we haven't had to cover it for years. Just keep it painted and make sure it doesn't have any leaks. You power wash it, you put a hole in it. You just have to take care of it. Okay?
Wow, very interesting, Mary. Fascinating. Great pictures, images. Great. It
Well,
was,
thanks to Mr. Steve here.
well, you